The Enermax Sabre full tower chassis features premium RGB sync lighting, included RGB strips, and 3 pre-installed twister bearing RGB fans. Enjoy a tempered glass window, power supply shroud, and extensive water cooling support with 2 included front panel options for prioritizing silence or airflow. Compromise nothing with the Enermax Sabre. You can learn more by clicking the link below.
What's going on, guys? Cowell Bigwood here. Welcome back to the channel. Today I am taking a look at something that I knew was coming years ago, and I feel like it started out as a joke when the RGB craze initially hit the PC market. But now that joke has become a terrifying reality that I'm very glad to share with all of you today. So this is a prototype, emphasis on prototype, from Lian, which is basically the world's first RGB cable, cable extension to be exact. And they're calling it the Strimmer, S-T-R-I-M-E-R. I feel like there should be 2 M's in that word if it's pronounced Strimmer. Strimer? Strimer just doesn't roll off the tongue. Anyway, it's a 24-pin ATX extension for your motherboard, and we'll be taking a closer look at it today. So let's open this guy up. Now, I have actually unboxed this already and tested it out, but I'm just unboxing it here on camera for you guys for theatric purposes. And there are some things to note here about this prototype right off the bat. Actually, I tried shooting this review earlier today, and in the middle of shooting it, the wire that was soldered onto the cable came undone. Oh, this just fell off.
Oh.
It broke.
You're like the most expressionless face ever.
So it's broken, which is why the B-roll that we have for this video is going to be pretty limited, because we didn't actually get around to shooting everything before it broke. So let's just carry on with this review as if it's a normal review. Now, there's still much to learn about this cable. There's a lot of information that Lian left out when they sent me this sample, such as pricing, availability. I'm hoping that we find out more during Computex, which is right around the corner though. Taking a closer look at the cable, we get some white sleeving. There's no heat shrink, it's not fraying, so it's fairly high quality. It's not the best I've seen, but it's certainly decent enough for most purposes. And on the other side, we have what looks to be our 5-volt addressable RGB fiber optic lighting housing array, or whatever you want to call it. This is where the illumination takes place. And it's basically consisting of these 12 sort of transparent wires that go across the entire extension. And it looks like it's fixed to the wires of the cable by the cable combs. There's some custom cable combs here that it sort of latches onto. And it's a little bit loose in certain areas, so hopefully that's something that they iron out for the final retail model as well. This can also be flipped. It looks like you can actually flip the LED housing to the other side of the cable based on whatever motherboard that you're using, as not all boards have the ATX clip on the same side. So that's really nice that they give you that sort of option. And then there's also, let's talk about the cable that fell off. Assuming that this was connected, it would actually connect right here, which is closer to the side of the connector that your power supply cable would plug into. And from here, you get a couple different options on how to connect and control the LEDs. So for starters, you have a 3-pin connector that can connect to the included controller. That takes the form of an expansion bracket, which we'll take a closer look at later. And there's also a 3-pin connector that you could hook up to your motherboard, assuming your motherboard supports addressable RGB devices. And from there, you can use software like Asus OrSync, MSI Mystic Light to control the LEDs. Still no word on what softwares will be supported, but I guess more on that later. Let's take a look at the actual controller here, which comes in the form of a PCI expansion bracket. And it's got 3 buttons on the back, one for LED mode or color mode, another for the effect speed, and then one for memory, which it didn't really describe what that was. I'm guessing that's if you want to create a memory profile or a lighting profile so that when you reboot your computer, it remembers the profile that you were using last, but I'm not sure, don't quote me on that. And then we also have the PCB that it's connected to with a Molex connector, which is where it gets its power. In the spec sheet, the very limited spec sheet that Lian gave me, it actually said that this was supposed to be SATA. So I'm guessing for the retail model, we'll see SATA in place of this terrible, hideous Molex connector. And then you've got your cable, obviously, for connecting it to the cable itself. So The other thing that I wanted to say about this bracket is that when we tried installing it, we were running into clearance issues with the PCB and the PCI Express slots on our motherboard. Had they just mounted the PCB just maybe an inch or so, or even a couple centimeters this way, then that wouldn't happen. But we actually had to bend the PCB quite significantly to go underneath one of our PCIe slots in order to get this installed flush with the case. But that's pretty much it, guys. Again, there's not much else to say here. It's an RGB cable. I think the most interesting thing about this whole product is the way it looks. So without further ado, here's some of the B-roll that we were able to get before it broke. Enjoy. Well, there you have it, guys. It's an RGB cable. It does RGB things. Now it's time for you guys to sound off in the comments and let me know, what do you think? Is this something that you would spend your hard-earned dollars on? How much would you pay for an RGB 24-pin ATX extension like this one? Or is this just something else, you know, just another RGB gimmick that should be shunned publicly and burned in a valley of fire? I don't know. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Toss a like on the video if you enjoyed it, and also get subscribed so you don't miss any more tech stuff coming at you really soon. You can also follow me on Floatplane for $3 a month if you want to catch all my videos a week early without ads. I'll put a link for that in the video description. Until next time, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have yourselves a good one, and I'll see y'all in the next video.